Alright everyone, welcome. This is my first YouTube video. I'm Josh. We do a little War Thunder simulator action for everyone. We're starting off here in the F4F-3 Wildcat on the deck of an American carrier of the Yorktown class. And this will be a pretty simple video. We're just going to do a takeoff, do a left-hand orbit, and return to the ship. This is one of my first simulator flights in the game, which, for those of you who haven't experienced it, is much different from arcade or even realistic. You can see I've got the outside view of the airplane right now, but as soon as your aircraft starts rolling, it's going to put you to an inside view only, so keeping a good eye on your actual cockpit instruments and using your look to look around is going to be very important. I wouldn't recommend playing a simulator until you have at very least a joystick with a HOTAS control on it for your trim, and optimally you should have a joystick with an entirely separate throttle quadrant to kind of make everything work. You heard me mention trim just there. Trim's going to be the key for making your aircraft fly properly and realistic, because there are a lot more finicky power changes, changes to your configuration, i.e. your flaps and your gear and stuff like that, are going to make a big difference to how your plane flies. You're going to be constantly trimming to find that neutral point in flight that'll help you fly along and hopefully help you kill your enemies better. So let's go ahead and get started here. So I'm going to start up my engine. And click in to take off flaps. I like to do a little quick control check to make sure that I've got everything mapped properly. And to start off with, on a single engine prop aircraft, as you apply power, you're going to get that torque effect. The plane's going to want to snap over a bit to the left, so you want to apply right rudder and right rudder trim. So I'm going to click over. You can see on the bottom there, probably about 20% right rudder trim. I have my increment set to 5. On the control page, you guys do whatever you like, whatever you're comfortable flying with. I'm going to get back into the cockpit now. And I'm going to feed in probably about 30 to 40%, maybe about half right rudder, even before I go on the throttle. Then I'm going to slowly ease my throttle up to war emergency power. And you're going to kind of balance that rudder out there. And we're airborne. Click back to combat flaps and bring our gear up. And see, right now, if I let go, I got a slight downward and to the right trend with the aircraft there. So that means I have a little bit too much right rudder trim in. So click back a little bit to the left there, and then maybe a click back on elevator trim. And now you see I let go here. Now I got maybe a slight dip to the left, so you can give it a click of right aileron trim. And maybe a click back to the rudder trim. And see, now I'm letting go of my controls now, and if I put the aircraft kind of in a neutral state, you can see that from the horizontal situation indicator there. Still want to roll to the left a little bit, so probably going to go back to 0 on my aileron trim there, and now we're in a pretty comfortable flying regime. Bring my flaps up all the way. And bring my flaps up, I'm going to do a little bit of up elevator trim so I don't lose any altitude here. And see, we kind of meandered away from the carrier force over there as we were working on our trim. It's easy to kind of get caught up in the moment there, so keep looking around, use your look controls so you don't get distracted while trying to get your plane to fly optimally. Now, you're looking to kind of trim hands off there, but as with most inputs, you're probably going to have to give a little bit of input yourself on the stick and on your rudder just to keep everything nice and trim, but you'll have to give far less than if you've never trimmed at all. So we're coming down the left side of the ship here, opposite direction. So I'm going to kind of lower her down, get to about 800 feet. I'm at about flight idle right now. And at idle, you basically don't need any rudder trim at all. Put yourself in kind of a gradual descent. So this is not going to be our actual approach for landing. What we're going to do is something called the brake, where we're going to fly by the stern of the carrier at about 600 feet here. So climb up a little bit, give it a little bit of rudder trim there as I put the power back up. So we're going to fly by the stern here. I'm a little low for this, but it should be all right. And then right as we get down to the stern of the ship, kind of right here, I'm going to brake around and say, actually, I climbed a good deal doing that, which you're not supposed to do. Let's all bleed off some of our energy. Drop down to combat flaps. And this is an F4F, so the gear comes down manually, so you want to get that gear down early in this airplane to make sure it's down all the way. So we slow below 110 knots, drop down to some takeoff flaps. Alright, so as you see, I'm way outside here. So this is not something you want to try to recover from. You're just going to end up crashing yourself. So we'll go around. And now that I'm full slow, I'll go ahead and drop down to my landing flaps here. We'll try to come out a little bit. Now, you are going to balloon when you put those flaps down, so you want to probably give a little bit of down elevator trim to keep yourself from climbing when you put your flaps down. Kind of look back and see where the carrier is. And then kind of bring her back over to the left there. You see your turn indicator down in the middle of the cockpit. Keep that nice and centered. So this is something we should be able to work with. So I'll come off the power a little bit to kind of increase that descent rate. You kind of want to make slight corrections. Little jog over to the right there. Get us lined up. And right as you cross the threshold of the ship, cut your engine. And there we go. We've trapped on the ship. Not the smoothest come around for landing, but you guys can kind of see some of the basic techniques. I'm still working on myself. Everybody's learning. And I hope you all enjoyed this first video. Thanks a lot, and happy flying.